Thank you. I'd like to welcome you here and begin to open my mouth. I've learned that if I don't say something, no matter what it is, and it's usually not much, the silence that builds slowly becomes this kind of hostility, and eventually this just gets unbearable up here. So I wanted to, at least say hello. Usually by now I've gotten myself in enough trouble that I have to get out of it, which amounts to having something to say. I am not yet in that kind of trouble because I haven't begun. So one thing I can tell you is that last tune was called I Yell at Traffic, and it was written out of a little theory. Excuse me, I've discovered my left eye here. Boy. You can try this yourself if you feel like it. I have this is my theory, and as far as I know, it's only mine. Maybe somebody else owns it, but I thought of it myself, which means I probably shouldn't mention it here, but I Yell at Traffic was written because I really do believe that creativity, or a lot of ideas, come from pure rage. If you're infuriated, you can paint, or whatever. You got it triggers something. But I also wrote it because I heard a theory that really sounds a lot better than mine, which is that creativity comes from lying. You have to learn to lie before you can paint or write or create anything of lasting beauty. So if you have small children, don't interfere when they tell you, that they're Sherlock Holmes or whatever they're creating. And it sounds a little diabolical, but it also sounds totally true. I mean, it does to me. I of course have. It also gets me off the hook to believe that, but I think it's true. And this tune is connected with that because I was in my car with my two kids, and we were in the driveway with the engine running because I had forgotten where it was we were going to go. They wanted to go somewhere, and I'd said I'd love to go there. And by the time we got out the door, I'd forgotten where that was, and I didn't want to ask them because then they'd be crushed to know that I thought so little of this palace of wherever they wanted to go, that I'd totally forgotten it. So instead, wisely, I just sat there and let the motor run and stared at the steering wheel while they amused themselves in the back seat. Which, I mean, the fact that they could do that tells me I've done this more often than I think I have. And at about 5 years old or whatever, kids amuse themselves by tormenting each other, and so things started to get kind of turbulent back there, and all of a sudden, over the hum of the engine and the sort of the ooze of my memory, which just wasn't working, I heard one of those screams that only a 5-year-old can produce, that hurts more than whatever it was that hurt them in the first place. If you're the parent and you're listening to this thing, which tells you more even than already what kind of parent I am. And after I got through feeling sorry for myself, I began to turn around to see what had happened to my daughter, who said, "Joe stuck his finger in my eye." And comparing that with the scream that she'd let out, I expected to find nothing but a socket by the time I turned around. You never expect the best, really. And I turned around, and Joe said, "I didn't know that was your face." This is true. Isn't that great? And my heart swelled swelled with pride because I had an artist in the back seat. A genius, I think. This is the same guy who got lost once following an ant. He was at a Dairy Queen with us, and he found his ant, and he left with it, and we. Threatens to go on a little longer than it should here. This is called Stealing. It's made up of little bits and pieces of tunes by people that I enjoy listening to, which is another way of saying that I've stolen all of this. But I'm so candid and forthright that I just freely admit it. Dots on my fingerboard, and I'm really hooked on them. If there's some way I could get a little backlighting, I don't see any up there. Because you may have noticed when I do that, that's because I can't see the dot. It's actually, and it's not these dots, it's these dots along the... That's very helpful. Thank you very much.